Lord, we ask your blessings on all of us who have been called to lead the community in which we live and work and play. Help us as leaders to not ask first, how do we fix this? But what do we need to learn? How might we need to change? And to whom do we need to listen? Remind us, because we all forget from time to time, especially in the noisiness of the day-to-day, that we are not only leaders, but also servants. And that is our responsibility and everyone's to serve the common good of all. This we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please stay standing and join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. You may be seated. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. And before we get started, I want to remind anyone who's here to speak to make sure to fill out a form out in the hallway and put it in this box over here so we can call on you and know who you are and have your address and all those good things. So with that, welcome. I see a lot of new faces in the room tonight. We're happy to have you all here. We're going to get started with a very special proclamation about attendance. So I am going to read this first. How about that? And then you want to come up after that? This is long.
Read what you like then.
Oh, now I'm going to go for it. All right, here we go. Everyone get comfortable. All right. Whereas good attendance is essential to student achievement and graduation, and we are committed to dedicating our resources and attention to reducing chronic absenteeism rates with a focus starting as early as pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. And whereas chronic absence, missing 10% or more of school for any reason, including excused and unexcused absences, or just 2 of 3 days a month, is a proven predictor of academic trouble and predicts lower third grade reading proficiency, course failure, and eventual dropout, therefore weakening our communities and our local economy. And whereas chronic absence is now a required reporting metric under the federal Every Student Succeeds Act, and whereas attendance gaps among groups of students often turn into achievement gaps that undermine student success, specifically in students coming from low-income households. And whereas absenteeism also undermines efforts to improve struggling schools, since it's hard to measure improvement in classroom instructions if students are not in class to benefit from them. Furthermore, all students, even those who show up regularly, are affected by chronic absence because teachers must spend time reviewing for students who missed those lessons. And whereas schools and community partners like healthcare providers can reach out more frequently to absent students to determine what barriers they face to attending school and what would help them attend more regularly. And whereas schools and districts must do more to track, calculate, and share the data on how many students are chronically absent so that we can see the attendance gaps and can deliver the right interventions to the right students. And whereas chronic absence can be significantly reduced when schools, families, and communities work together to monitor and promote good attendance and address hurdles that keep children from getting to school. Now, therefore, I, Brandy Harless, Mayor of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, proclaim our city will stand with the nation in recognizing September as Attendance Awareness Month, and we do hereby commit to focusing on reduction of chronic absenteeism to give all children an equitable opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. That was great. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to bring Troy Brock up from Paducah City Schools.
First and foremost, thank you to the Commission. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for the proclamation. September is Attendance Awareness Month across the nation and within Kentucky. We try to promote early on. Of course, school has started in the county and the city both. And so we want to bring that awareness to everybody and partner with our city government and our community agencies as well. More than anything is to reduce barriers to student attendance. You know, kids miss for various reasons, whether it's illness or apathy, and sometimes things beyond control that we're trying to address in our city schools, and partnering with Four Rivers Behavioral Health, partnering with Baptist Health, and also with any other agencies in the community and city government. We welcome your help as well, and identifying those barriers. Homelessness, that was the other one I was trying to think of. I apologize. So we have about 120 identified, or we're very likely to identify students who are homeless in our school district, and so finding adequate housing, and primarily just reducing the barriers for students to be able to attend school on a day-to-day basis. So as I like to say is that if students aren't in school, they're still learning. They're just not learning what we want them to learn on that daily basis. So we do appreciate your efforts as well, and look forward to a continued partnership with the city schools.
Great, thank you so much. I wanted to say we had just got the results back from our citizen survey, and housing, probably not specifically as you're mentioning it with the school system issue, but housing overall is a big concern for our community from that survey, as was transportation, and I'm assuming that probably ties into some of the barriers that you're seeing as well. So we welcome that open conversation. The housing piece is written into our strategic plan, so we will be hopefully rolling out soon some of those initiatives that we can help to solve this problem. So keep the communication open.
We'll do it. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to
I think we have a few more comments, Troy, before you sit down.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I also just wanted to say that my husband and the city school attorney had perfect attendance. It feels like the appropriate moment to put that out.
I mean,
we're
like K
tracking
through
it. We're
12,
keeping track.
something crazy. So, I mean, it was like a long, perfect attendance record, way longer than mine. He's very proud of it. You should ask him about it sometime.
I shall. Thank you.
Commissioner Avery.
Well, last year we had a couple of students in our class, Xavier Snell and BC Collins, who had perfect attendance, 2 students in the same classroom. So we made a big deal out of that.
Absolutely.
So props off to their family for getting them to school every day without
Absolutely.
exception. So.
Yeah, and we want to recognize improved attendance as well, not just the perfect attendance, but where we see we've had deficiencies and helping those students and recognizing their efforts to and their families for making that extra effort.
Absolutely. Anyone else? I'm going to bring this to you
Sure, thank you.
so you can hang it on your wall. Read it
Okay.
every day.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
absolutely.
All right, we have another guest here tonight from Innovations Branding House. I think Michelle Smolin is going to give us a brief introduction.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We have something very exciting to share with you tonight. We have teamed up with Innovations Branding House, and what you'll be seeing is some community surveys, and this is regarding the implementation of the strategic plan. So they're going to help us identify maybe some champions that we don't know are out there for different key performance areas. And they're also going to work on an internal survey that will help us determine how we can best engage our employees, because we have over 300 employees that could help us implement this in a really effective way. So we have Ashley from Innovations Branding House, and you're going to get a first look at some things we're getting ready to roll out.
Oh, I'm excited.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. As Michelle mentioned, my name is Ashley Starks, and I am the brand strategist with Innovations Branding House. So basically, it's my job to kind of oversee this project along with our account manager and some other very important members of our team who are kind of working diligently to create something along with the city that will help not really solve problems, but determine how best we can work on getting the strategic plan out to the community. So we have kind of created this brand for the initiative called Paducah Insights. And what that helps us do is really go out into the community and be able to gather a diverse perspectives from the citizens and see kind of what relationship or relationships they might have with this strategic plan that you guys have been working so diligently to put together moving forward. We also know that engagement is a huge component and a goal of getting more people involved with the city's government and the strategic plan. So we really want to kind of go back to the beginning of that and find out how we can engage the public better, specific to the strategic plan. You know, what they need, where we can meet them at to be able to best, I guess, communicate all of those things. It's a very robust plan, so how can we communicate that to them and get them excited and get them engaged? So ultimately, the goal will be to develop kind of this overall communication plan where we can discuss the who, what, when, where, and hows of this strategic plan. You know, what projects are currently occurring, why it matters to citizens, where they can go for more information, how they can give their feedback best, all of those things, and really just open up that dialogue with the citizens and help them feel and recognize just how important they are to its success. That was a component that we discussed a lot. The involvement is such a huge piece of it. So it's kind of the goal of the plan. And currently we are working on, or we have been working on, a multitude of surveys, as Michelle mentioned, to gather these diverse perspectives. And we will be putting out a couple drop boxes across the city where we will have like smaller surveys such as these, where people can kind of fill out some information for us and answer some questions that we're just kind of burning to know that will help us with develop this plan. We also will be putting out posters across the city that will direct people to the initiative's website, and I'll kind of share with everyone. The website for the initiative is PaducahInsights.com, and there citizens can go and take our survey as well. And then we have some postcards we're mailing out, some Facebook advertisements we'll be running, just really trying to get as many people as possible engaged in this part of the research, so we know as much as possible. And then we also have the internal employee survey that Michelle also mentioned, where we'll be able to kind of gain those inside perspectives from those 300 plus employees that you all have that are your biggest voice in a way. So a lot of different components that are involved in this process, but we're also looking at the communication of strategic plans in cities across the nation. And we've done a lot of research on those cities and things that they've done to help us gain a greater awareness or understanding, see some different trends. And we'll be taking that information along with the results of our surveys, along with the results of the citizen survey, and compiling all of that to discover what trends might exist, what opportunities there are, and like I said, what things could, potentially work for the city of Paducah and its very specific strategic plan. So it's a very robust project in a way, and we're really excited about being able to do it. We've seen the excitement that everyone involved with the process has already had regarding the strategic plan, so we're excited to create a communication plan and strategy that will help us push that out into the community further, really encourage engagement among the community and help citizens see how important they are to that plan and the city's government as a whole and its success. So we have these surveys that will be going out, I believe this week, and we'll be collecting results for about 2 weeks or so and be able to come back and compile all the information, analyze it, like I said, and be able to determine recommendations moving forward for how we can communicate and engage the community about the strategic plan in specific. Any questions, or I know it's very high level. Yeah.
How does this work with so it's not replicating the citizen survey?
Yes. So the citizen survey provides a lot of robust and very useful information. I was just we were just talking today about how excited I was about how the two can work together, because while it provides all this robust and information, it's also very detailed information. So this kind of brings it back to a communication standpoint and the community and meeting them kind of in a place where in a way, that citizen survey didn't. So just finding out what things people are doing, where they're involved in, why maybe they haven't been involved with the government previously. We are kind of term internally is attitudinal questions and just behavioral questions, more so to see what things, like I said, they're attracted to and interested in, whereas the citizen survey, I can think of one very specific, the storm water drainage system. I know that's a very important issue, but taking that back a notch, and how do citizens connect with that from a communication standpoint? Where do they see that fitting into their lives? And how can we get them to become even more engaged, provide more feedback, communicate, attend meetings, do things like that? That's kind of the goal. And so that it just takes it a step back, and I think fills in that in between where the citizen survey is highly specific and detailed, and that's fabulous and why we're using it. It kind of helps us scale back a little bit and determine a much larger strategy for communicating that strategic plan. Does that kind of answer? Okay.
Commissioner Wilson?
So what are some of the specific questions? Is that on that card, I guess?
Those aren't on, it's not on the card, but the website is live, and I also did bring some of the surveys, though. So we are asking things about, trying to get past some of the demographic, but checking for, of course, which of these initiatives interest, or the pieces of the strategic plan interest them, and I know that was a component of the citizen survey, but finding out the why behind that. Do they care about parks and neighborhoods because they have children? Do they care about economic mobility because they've faced that, maybe some of those whys to those questions is kind of, again, what's a little bit different in some of the more specific questions we're asking. Trying to get to, and again, going back to where are these citizens at? What are they doing? What are they enjoying? We are also asking, what other organizations have you been involved with? What have you liked about that experience? Just trying to gain a broader understanding of the citizens and how they could, like I said, potentially be involved, or what relationship they might have to the strategic plan, so we can help communicate that back to them and kind of link those back together. So those are some of the questions. A lot of them seem, we're asking about activities they participate in their free time, and again, just in the end, the goal is to be able to connect all of those dots. And so on paper, that's one thing it might seem, what is this question referencing or what's it for? But we have ties for everything, which is really cool when I went back to the citizen survey and got those results to see how some of our questions answer even more questions with the citizen survey. So we'll be excited to present that kind of at the end of it all and show all of those connections and ties.
And if I could, just let me add one piece to it. This isn't necessarily where the citizen survey asks us to rate operations. This isn't really rating different things on the strategic plan. It's more, what are you interested in and why, and maybe how can we reach you best? And is there a,
here's a question about where the top places that you get the majority of your local news and information. I'm doing the survey. Spoiler.
Yeah. So it's not a rating.
First response.
It's not a rating tool. It's a how can we best reach you and what are you interested in tool.
Are you also collecting people's information?
Not personal.
You're not, no emails, you're not collecting emails or content?
So we do offer initiative for the survey. That would be the only place where we're collecting emails if they opt into that option where they can enter to win enter to win the prize. We are doing raffles for gift cards to local city businesses. So again, kind of pushing that engagement piece a little bit further. But that would be the only place there's real personal information such as that. Otherwise, it could be, all anonymous.
Okay.
Edit, you don't have WK Mess in here as a source of news. There's no checkbox for that one. You'll need a checkbox for that one.
Oh, well then I have a pin to add that. Different things that we can add.
Any other questions by the commission? No? Any other comments? Well, thank you for your work. Appreciate it a lot. I'm excited
we'll be
to see
excited
what
to bring it
comes
all
around.
back and be able to look moving forward and like I said, how we can get the citizens more involved with this strategic plan that everyone's been working so hard on.
Well, and I think the employee part was something I didn't even consider doing.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you guys for figuring that one out. That was so brilliant, in my opinion. 300
It's a huge
people
component.
who are the spirit of our city. That's so true, whatever that said on that brochure. So thank you for doing that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
You too. All right, we're going to move into city business. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests. And anyone have anything they would like to remove tonight? All right, I'm going to ask the city clerk to read the items recommended for approval, please.
Minutes for the August 21st, 2018 City Commission meeting. Reappointment of Paul Bradford and Kathy Crecilius to the Paducah Planning Commission. These terms shall expire August 31st, 2022. Appointment of Kenneth B. Hurt, Sr. to the Human Rights Commission to replace Raphael Banks, whose term has expired. This term shall expire July 24th, 2021. Reappointment of Heather Colthorpe and Christopher B. Jones, and the appointment of Reagan Wainscott to replace Rodney Warwick whose term has expired, to the Historical and Architectural Review Commission, HARC. These terms shall expire June 4th, 2021. Receive and file documents, personnel actions, a municipal order, repealing Municipal Order 1816 related to the purchase of real property located at 605 South 8th Street by Harlan Brazier, further declaring the property to be surplus property, accepting the bid of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church in the amount of $50 plus recording and deed preparation fees for real property located at 605 South 8th Street, and authorizing the mayor to execute a deed and all documents related to same. A municipal order repealing Municipal Order number 1815 related to the purchase of real property located at 603 South 8th Street by Harlan Brazier, further declaring the property to be surplus property, accepting the bid of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church in the amount of $50 plus recording and deed preparation fees for real property located at 603 South 8th Street, and authorizing the mayor to execute the deed and all documents related to same. A municipal order declaring the real property located at 517 North 7th Street to be surplus property, accepting the bid of Kathleen Kelly in the amount of $1 plus recording and deed preparation fees for the purchase of said real property, and authorizing the mayor to execute the deed and all documents related to same. A municipal order declaring the real property located at 1216 Park Avenue to be surplus property, accepting the bid of Daryl Matheny in the amount of $1 plus recording and deed preparation fees for the purchase of said real property, and authorizing the mayor to execute the deed and all documents related to same. A municipal order accepting the bid of Heartland Outdoor Equipment Incorporated for sale to the city of 3 ZTR mowers in a total amount of $26,331.10 for use by the Paducah Parks Department, Grounds Maintenance Division, and authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for same. A municipal order of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, directing the city manager and his staff to promptly notify neighborhood residents after an escape occurs at the Keaton Correctional Facility.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye.
You're done.
Congratulations.
Thank you all for being
Swift.
here.
That's our new style. That's our new style of city government. Swift. Thank you for the work you guys are doing and the investment in the community. Thank you all. Next time, come and stay longer. I'm kidding. Kidding. With $1. All right, let's move on, everyone. Commissioner Wilson.
Oh, you want me to read something?
I think so.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce and adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance approving change order number 3 with A&K Construction for a price increase in the amount of $63,850 for the City Hall Phase 1 project and declaring an emergency to exist. This ordinance is summarized as follows. In this emergency ordinance, the City of Paducah approves change order number 3 with A&K Construction for scaffolding, curtain barrier, and IMAC emergency cleanup services for asbestos abatement for the interior lantern atrium of City Hall, henceforth increasing the total contract price to $4,168,090, and authorizes the mayor to execute the change order.
Second. Madam Mayor, Commission, City Manager, I have Bacchus Oliver here with us from Markham Engineering to give you an explanation of this, but you also have an ordinance right directly behind that as change order number 4. These are actually, I guess, co-change orders because the two are tied together. And to help you to better understand that, I've asked Bacchus to come and address any questions that you all might have regarding that so he could give you the answer to that. So with that, Bacchus, you want to come up here, please?
Good evening. Good evening. See you, everyone. Seemed like we was up here talking about good news just last time I was here, and my, how the pendulum can swing in construction. This is somewhat normal for us, though. We felt compelled to bring 2 change orders in front of you. One an emergency, one less so, but still we're hoping to get swift approval of that so that we can stay on schedule and keep on moving as well. What we've encountered is we did not plan to remove any of the finished material on the bottom ceiling of our lantern. And for those of you who don't know, the pyramid shape is called a lantern. That's what, that was the name that was given by the architect that designed it, Darrell Stone. But what happened is when we removed the wood trim work, the lattice, sections fell. There were 2 sections that had fallen, and we realized we had a safety situation. So we kept everybody out of the area, began to assess it, and come to realize that even though the drawings didn't indicate it, they had added a cementous finish to the bottom of the ceiling, unlike the drawings had indicated was there. And so we then devised a plan that we needed to remove that and put in a new ceiling system that was finished and current and would be good for another life cycle. So prior to that, you're required to test any material that you want to move from a building that is old enough to be sure you do not have hazardous materials. So we'd asked for that test and came to be surprised that there was a skim coat used under that that did contain small amounts of asbestos, but yet enough to cause urgency. So I think you know it's past news that we cleaned up that on over a weekend. Came in and done that. That's one part of this change order number 3 before you. We also decided to go ahead and install the containment barrier that you see now, so that if any more falls in the meantime, it's within that area at least. And then to do that, we needed to go ahead and put the scaffolding up. So you've seen all those things already come to pass that we're talking about for change order 3. We considered those emergent. We needed to go ahead and get on top of this so it couldn't happen some more. And change order 4, I can discuss probably.
Yeah, we'll bring it to
Want
the
to take
table.
action?
Yeah, you want to stay right there?
I will.
That's okay. Yep. Anyone having questions about the specific item on the table?
I just want to commend everyone for the swift action that you took and the protection of employees. So thank you.
Absolutely.
It was an exciting Friday.
I know it was. Yep.
Everyone came together, pulled together like a team.
Call roll.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. And Commissioner Rhodes.
In case before I read this, Bacchus
Yes.
is a avid model train builder. In the early '60s, I have an old book from the early '60s about the time this building was built, and it suggests if you wanted to plant crops in a model train, you could take asbestos fibers and glue them to your train layout.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
And so that's where we've come
Oh,
full
yes.
circle, that now it's,
Asbestos once
do that,
was
well, no, I'm not.
favorite tool.
But if you were wondering why they would do that in the mid, my point is you were wondering why they would do that in the mid-'60s, well, it wasn't particularly hazardous.
It was.
No,
there-
it was.
It was, we just
hazardous.
didn't know it.
No.
Okay, well, now that we've gone down memory lane,
Thank you.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled an ordinance approving the change order number 4 with A&K Construction for a price increase in the amount of $154,193 for the City Hall Phase 1 project and declaring an emergency to exist. This ordinance is summarized as follows. In this emergency ordinance, the City of Paducah approves change order number 4 with A&K Construction for removal of intact lantern ceiling materials, repair of lantern ceiling using EIFS overlay, and painting of soffit in the interior lantern of the City Hall, henceforth increasing the total contract price to $4,322,283, and authorizes the mayor to execute the change order.
Second.
Thank you.
So let me explain this one. So now we have the problem of getting the remainder of the finished material down and in a proper manner. So we have to abate that. And so that requires special contractor to come in and do that. We looked at doing that in evenings with work going on, and we talked about doing it over the upcoming holiday weekend, just this weekend. So this proposal is to do the work over the holiday weekend while the building is vacated by our employees. The other parts of it is to then install the new EIFS finish system. That'll make the new ceiling. As far as we know, that's not dangerous, and that is what we want up there from now on. And then we're going to prime and paint and repair some other items up there since we have scaffolding now that makes it easier. So this will complete the work. Finally, we will be done with the ceiling if we carry this out. And we're hoping to get approval of this so that we can do that this weekend. Everything is scheduled and ready, but it, of course, waits your action.
Even the application of the EIFS system will happen this weekend, or just the removal?
No, we will do that
Of the
now
asbestos.
on a slower schedule. What
Okay.
we will do is we will abate, and we
Right.
will be cleared out by Tuesday morning when workers return.
Okay.
They're going to work around the clock until the work's done. They're not going to stop.
The
I should-
abatement is done.
I should have described, yes, we're going to start Thursday night, and we're going to work 24 hours a day until we're done. And there will be full-time monitors here that is employed by the city to make sure everything goes correctly. And we will be getting all tests are clear, hopefully Sunday or Monday at the latest, so that we'll know it's safe to come back. So there are checks and procedures in place for all this to happen.
You do air quality testing on a regular
do.
basis, correct? And that's when you can say the building's safe for people to come back in.
Right, we do them prior, we do them during, and we do them after.
Okay, great. Any other questions? No? All right, let's call roll. Thank you, Backus, for being here.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. Appreciate your work on this. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Megan. I see you out there.
Mayor, one thing we'll be bringing to you one other one, but it will be to the south as we move to this. So you've gone to the north with these two change orders. We're going to bring you another one that's going to go south.
You mean like geographically, financially?
Financially south.
Thank you.
Financially south.
What you meant?
No, not down the hole. No.
Okay.
Sideways.
Yeah.
Going south is not a good.
All right. Commissioner Holland?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce and adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Requiring Private Correctional Facilities to Exercise Strict Control of Inmates and Give Immediate Notice to Law Enforcement Agencies." This ordinance is summarized as follows. In this emergency ordinance, the City of Paducah requires all private correctional facilities in the City of Paducah to adhere to all laws and best practices related to the surveillance to prevent the escape or unaccounted for absence of inmates, probationers, or parolees. Further, said facilities are required to immediately inform the Paducah Police Department, McCracken County Sheriff's Department, Kentucky State Police Department, and all correctional facility employees of an escape or unaccounted for absence of a probationer, inmate, or parolee from the facility's custody. This ordinance requires all private correctional facilities to develop written policies and procedures within 30 days of the passage of this ordinance to ensure that the notice is provided. Further, this ordinance provides a penalty for failure to comply with the notice and policy and procedure requirements pursuant to KRS 83A.0609. This following Section 4 of the ordinance is set forth in its entirety. Section 4 penalty: the failure of facilities to strictly comply with requirements of this ordinance is hereby deemed to be sufficient grounds to revoke the facility's business license pursuant to Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah.
Second.
Discussion? Any questions, thoughts? Great. Actually, I do have one question. Who is going to be responsible for obtaining the policies and procedures within the staff?
From Keaton Correctional? Yeah, we'll have either my office or we'll have Chief Barnhill's office reach out to him.
Okay, okay.
I do have one comment before we go.
Go ahead.
This ordinance will be sent to Keaton's corporate, correct?
And to the state, yes.
Yes, okay. Certified mail?
Doesn't hurt.
There you go, okay.
Anyone else? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. All right, Commissioner Abraham.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Approving the Final Report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the Proposed Final Subdivision for Properties Located at 3501 Pecan Drive, accepting the dedication of right-of-way, accepting the public utility easement, and authorizing the mayor to subscribe a certificate of approval on the plat." This ordinance is summarized as follows. An ordinance approving the final report of the Paducah Planning Commission on the proposed final subdivision for the property known as Colgan Properties, LLC, U.S. Highway 62 and Pecan Drive, accepting dedication of right-of-way and public utilities, easements, and accepting irrevocable letter of credit, number 8033, in the amount of $150,000. In addition, the City of Paducah hereby authorizes the mayor to subscribe a certificate of approval of the plat.
Second.
Madam Mayor, Commission, we're excited, the Engineering and Planning Department are excited about bringing this to you this evening. To be maybe a little bit more familiar, a little more descriptive of the property, You'll recall the old Pecan Drive where it's there by the office building. It's just a dead-end street. In the new Pecan Drive, there's a big piece of triangular property there across from West Kentucky, and that's the property that's being developed. It's going to be a cul-de-sac that's coming off of Pecan Drive and coming in there, and it's going to be an office park, a doctor's office park, or some business park like that, and we're excited for that. The applicant has completed all their work, and we have security for that, so they'll be able to move right along and be able to sell property now that we have those securities in place. And once you all have had 2 readings of this, that property will be developing.
How many acres is that?
Do you recall, Tamara, how many acres that is? I want to say it's about 12. Okay.
So the entrance is off Pecan.
Yeah, it's going to have a cul-de-sac that comes off of Pecan. I believe it's Colonial. As you turn on Pecan, there's Colonial off to your left, and that's going to be directly across the street from that intersection. And this is going to be referred to as Colonial Court.
Okay. But it is all business.
Yes.
Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you very much. Commissioner Wilson.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, an ordinance repealing Chapter 110, Section 110-5, Traffic Commission of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby repeals in its entirety Section 110-5, Traffic Commission of the Paducah Code of Ordinances.
Second.
Madam Mayor and Board of Commissioners, what we're trying to do with this is actually kind of rework the way we handle the traffic concerns that are brought to the city, form an internal team made up of a member of the public, including the planning department, the public works department, or engineering department, police department, and of course the city manager's office to deal with those issues and bring a recommendation back to the Board of Commissioners. The way we have it posted now, in the ordinance, we actually have 4 members that comprises the commission, which actually kind of makes it very difficult to get a consensus, or actually, I shouldn't say consensus. It makes it very difficult when you have a 2-2 tie to get anything done. And as you'll see in a little bit, we actually had that occur here just recently. So, but that's kind of makes it challenging to have that majority rules, if you will, because when you have when you have potential to have a split vote. And also the recent legal notification from our city attorney stating that this is a public board. You have to have advance notice given through the media when you have to meet. And then when you have 3 people, that being the police chief, myself, and the director of public works, meeting in a leadership team meeting, and if traffic comes up, you're actually violating the Open Meetings Act. So it made it difficult to be able to get things done.
All right. Questions? Thank you. Sounds like a good path forward. All right, up for discussion. Are you doing this? Are you doing this?
That is me.
All right.
We'll segue right into it.
Go for it.
The last meeting of the Traffic Commission was just like I said, a week ago, this past Friday, so about a week and a half ago. We did hold a Traffic Commission meeting in this commission chambers. Minutes were actually placed in the commissioners' agenda packets, kind of going through what we had talked about. We actually had the engineer, and you have of course, their recommendation again in front of you, HDR present, to actually kind of go over precisely what their recommendations were to the city and how they suggested that we move forward. We did have 2 separate conversations, one being the intersection of Buckner and Pecan, and what to do with that interchange. And the second one, which came later in that meeting, was with the intersection of Pines and Buckner. So focusing on the Buckner and Pecan interchange took a long deliberation. We did get input from Tamara as well from the planning department as far as what she would recommend, so on and so forth. We kicked a lot of ideas around and options around, but really leaning heavily upon the recommendation from HDR, which was to do the turn lane with the traffic signals. We did discuss that at length, at nausea, if you will, in the commission meeting, and what we recommend to this board through a unanimous vote, which was initially a 2-2 tie. But we did good governance and good debate, we did decide to compromise, myself being one of the people that compromised and went the other way. But we did a unanimous recommendation to this board to do first phase, if you will, this year, as permitted by this body, to put in the 3 stop signs, creating a 3-way stop at the intersection of Buckner and Pecan, to follow up in FY19 in that budget for the turn lane and the traffic signals as recommended by HDR. The second issue at hand was the intersection of Pines and Buckner, and we unanimously agreed to go with the recommendation of HDR doing nothing at this time. Any questions? I will gladly try to answer them.
Tell me again, the planning commission, traffic commission, who was in that meeting?
That was Assistant Chief Copeland, also.
Paducah Police.
Yeah,
Okay.
Paducah Police, Chief Barnhart, Paducah Police. So the traffic commission was the chief of police and a police designee, myself, the city manager's office, as well as Rick Murphy from Engineering Public Works.
So then HDR was there with you?
Yes.
And reviewed, their top choice was the light and the turn to do that.
Traffic signal and right turn lane was their recommendation.
Which is, I guess, what we're saying that with this recommendation that we would do, but not until the 2019 budget. Meanwhile, until we got to the new budget process, we would put the stop signs up.
That is the recommendation of the traffic commission. That's right. We do the 3-way stop at this time, and then in FY19 we would do the traffic signal and the turn lane.
So I was coming last night on Pecan from like the mall area, Strawberry Hill area. So you have the turn lane.
That's okay, Rick. Oh, thank you. FY20, thank you.
Yes, but it would take effect in July of 2019.
Yes,
correct.
But Rick is correct. It's FY20.
It would be the 2020 budget, but it takes effect in July of 2019. So if you're coming from Strawberry Hill and you come up to the intersection to turn left, you have the turn lane and the right, and then the lane that goes straight. So you put one stop sign there. So you assume the people that are in the turn lane see the stop sign, or is there something that would be overhead to try to help flag that? You don't, right now you just pull up there, and if there's no car coming, you make a left turn.
On to Buckner? Is that,
Now I'm coming from Strawberry Hill.
right,
On Pecan, yes, and you're gonna turn left onto Buckner.
okay.
So I guess I'm a little worried there about people seeing a stop sign over to the right when you're sitting in the center lane to turn left.
What do you think, Rick? What's the best way of approaching that?
Stripe it.
So you
could
should just
stripe it.
came on up.
I mean, I sat
tried
there
to
last
help
night thinking, you know, your stop sign's gonna be over here to the right. Obviously, you're gonna know, but you're not right beside of it. You're a lane over.
What we'll do there, Commissioner, is more than likely we'll put in oversized stop signs instead of a normal size stop sign where it's a 2-post. I mean, you've seen oversized stop signs. For that purpose, one, that it's new, 2, to get the attention, because physically there's no place to put it in the pavement because you do have that, what we refer to as a dedicated left turn lane or suicide lane. There's not a place to put a sign out there that's not going to get taken out. So more than likely we'll be putting oversized stop signs on the Pecan legs as you approach, so you'll be able to see it a long way away from either direction. And that's the only solution we have.
So, go ahead.
I mean, I'm also concerned about the turn lane just because we're greatly improving the thing that people most are concerned about, or one of the 2 things people are most concerned about, which is the backup, the delay and queue onto Pecan. So this will help that. This goes from 948 feet back up to a 300 feet back up, right?
Correct. But the one thing about that, and something that everybody needs to realize, the stop sign is in place 24/7, 365 days a year. It's there for everybody to adhere to. Whereas the queuing distance on what you're looking at there, Commissioner, is
primary
for an hour and a half a day. And what this recommendation will do is it will cause a balance of impediment or delay for everybody.
Yeah, because now we've got a 200 feet queue.
Yeah,
in
Yeah,
that
so-
left-hand turn lane, where now there hasn't been much of a queue. Now we're talking
You're
about.
You're going to start queuing people on all three legs for that. But with the interest of cost, because the stop signs are very, very inexpensive, we can do those quick and easy, provided that we're looking down the road to FY20, that we would commit to doing that. That would be in place for a short period of time for that. That was the way we were looking at that.
That's right.
That's not the recommendation of HDR. I don't mind saying that. But if we can put it in place for a short period of time as we look for funding or supply funding to put the recommendation in place, this is the way that we compromised.
I would say,
Is the idea to do both the turning lane and the signal in FY20?
Yes.
The right turn lane and signal.
Yes.
so I would say, to me, we are following HDR's recommendation, which I believe when we have a study, we commission a group to do a study, and they're the experts on it, that we should seriously consider their advice, which is what you all did. We're simply delaying it, the implementation, until the next budget.
We're not delaying it. We're just, it's not in the budget this year. We have to get into next year's budget to do it. Yes.
We're actually causing an implementation, and Jim, you correct me if I'm wrong. This is not their recommendation. They don't support this recommendation. However, we're trying to be stewards of the community and put something in place that potentially would balance the legs on this, but minimize the time that this is in place. Now, if we were to, I don't want to back ourselves in a corner, if we were to have this in perpetuity and not pursue the turn lane, then I'm thinking that we would be in error of doing that. So, I mean, without a signal or turn lane or both in the very, very near future, then this would not be a good recommendation.
I mean, because they say always stop condition are expected to yield unacceptable LOS. What is LOS?
Level of service.
Level of service at the Pecan Drive and Buckner Lane intersection under the 2022 PM peak hour conditions. So rush hour, they're saying this is an unacceptable level of service with the stop signs.
And basically what HDR is trying to say there on that is, when you don't need to stop people there in your free flow of traffic, you're stopping them there. Because the stop sign is not intelligent. A signal can be intelligent. It will stay green unless somebody pulls up on the side road and says, hey, I want out, and then it knows somebody's there. That stop sign is there, like I said, 24/7.
Well,
and that's,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just to point out, again, there is an assumption that's being created by the people who put this together, and that is that we're talking about 2022 traffic conditions, which I'm assuming their assumption in this report is that there's growth. And so they're planning ahead, remember?
That's right.
So their recommendation was for the planning ahead part. And so I think this is a really reasonable solution, that our community experiences something different over there, to see what it's like, first of all. But then our long-term goal is to follow the recommendation of the study. So just remembering, this isn't even programmed analytically for a current traffic situation. It is for the future. So just wanted to make sure I pointed that out.
If we were to follow the recommendation, really, to me, we are following the recommendation.
That's right. We are. By 2022, it'll be complete.
We're just ahead of the game.
we've had a similar experience on Buckner where we've put in the stop signs. Do we have any feedback? I haven't heard feedback from those stop signs. I mean, that was a stop sign thrown up in a place people are used to just rolling through. Have we had any accidents? Have we heard any feedback?
It's not probably been, we probably need to answer that question in a year, but I mean, right now.
We've only had a week, but still.
We've had some feedback, just neutral, but given its location and the geometry and the fact that the school is there and there's a lot of activity every day of the week, morning and afternoon with the school children and where that is with the crosswalk.
No, I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's a good test case on putting up stop signs and how people feel about it.
I just talked to someone that got stopped. They ran through it, but that was all.
It needs to be that big a hurry. You know, I was thinking about, I think it's a good idea, what we're doing at at Pecan and Buckner. And for maybe a kind of an oddball reason is that once we start with that construction of those turn lanes, then people will be sort of used to stopping there and being more cautious in a work zone. And they'll be, maybe we're a few minutes ahead, but why not? And nobody needs to be in that big a hurry. It's just, time
Says
is
the
not
guy
that,
who's retiring.
time is not that
Oh, it's
precious. I'm
so
sorry.
leisurely.
Commissioner, do you have a microwave?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I'll walk fast and
Rest
get
my
criticized for it, but it's just a pause. It'll be fine. Take a breath.
Deep breath.
I think the point to
Any
me is, which is counter to what you said, we really are following the recommendation. We're just implementing
Yeah.
it
Oh, I
at a
agree.
later date,
I agree.
which adheres to their planning for the advance for 2022. Traffic.
Well, let me kind of couch this information a little bit. Okay.
Maybe not.
You take traffic, you take traffic counts today.
We're good.
Okay. Well, I need it for the public. You take traffic counts
I think we're
today.
good. No,
But basically, what I mean,
Oh, he's so degenerate.
we're talking about change in behavior in driving, and that's going to take a minute. So anything that we put there that's not there now is going to start that process. So if this is the first phase of it, if you will, then by the time we get the traffic light there, folks are going to really appreciate that a lot more than the three-way stop. Because it's, okay, I can get through there, everybody sees. I know how I treat a stop sign. And I treat a stop sign a lot different than I do a stop light. I just do, especially my routes. Everybody have their favorite spot to travel.
Yeah.
And you see the stop sign there and you're like, okay, I'm good. You don't really stop. Most of the time I stop, just so the guys will know out there. I don't just push through. But it goes back to changing behavior, and this is what we're trying to do at this intersection here. And any barriers that we put up, this will start that exercise. And by the time we implement the other part of it in the next year, it'll be better. I think so.
This two sentences in the recommendation part, I think, encapsulates everything that we're trying to say, and I'll point it out because I think they wrote it very well. The existing traffic operations at this intersection, including observed intersection queuing, show unacceptable delays, queues, and levels of service on the southbound approach. With the forecasted traffic growth, it is expected that the current conditions will degrade further unless improvements are made to the intersection. And that is obviously applicable to other approaches as well. So I think that's what we're saying, that this is a reasonable starting place with the current year's budget. I think it's a wise use of, it's page 16 is where that was. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
And thank you all for your work on this. Appreciate it.
So the next steps, bring it back for this board for future action, or does the board want to do action tonight? What's your pleasure?
Action
I'm
tonight
willing
is
to do
always
action
my
tonight.
pleasure.
We said that our new theme was swift. I just
okay
made that
with
up tonight. So let's be swift. Yep. we
No
may-
turtle.
maybe on the
Do you need a
table.
motion?
So is it possible to make a motion to accept the recommendations of the Traffic Commission then?
So move.
Second.
Second.
I have one more question. If we do that, then does that include putting it in the 2020 budget?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I'll vote
This
for
board.
Because that was the recommendation of the Traffic Commission.
I'll vote for that, too.
So we wouldn't have another separate vote later on that. It's in the process, so that's our long-term plan, is to put it in.
It'd be placed in the budget, but of course, this board approves the budget.
Any other questions, concerns?
I'm good.
Ready? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. And city manager. You have other reports tonight?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I do. I have just to update, as we had kicked off the meeting tonight, we are working on the action steps for the strategic plan. We do hope to have that to this board after this meeting. Michelle and I have to do one more walkthrough of it and kick that out to you guys via electronic mail. We'll also print some copies out and put it in your boxes tomorrow. And then we will actually discuss it with the leadership team tomorrow during the day as well. So if you guys can look it over and give us your feedback, and we're hoping to have the something formal put in place by this Thursday. So time is of the essence, though. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and Thursday is just around the corner. So, and then the second thing I have, Madam Mayor, is the budget committees are now underway. We've had a couple that have met and a few more meeting right after the holiday. So we're up and running with the budget committees as well. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Comments, thoughts from the commission tonight?
I just want to congratulate the mayor on her Healthy Kentucky Policy Champion Award for leading the way on our smoke-free ordinance. So I would love to see Paducah to become the healthiest city in Kentucky, and thank you for your leadership in that area.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's
If I win, I get to choose an organization that gets $5,000.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do we like vote for you or something?
I don't know. I don't have a clue.
Lobby?
Yeah.
Send some fruit baskets?
announce it.
Yeah, you should probably lobby me for the organizations. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I bet I know who would want that.
I don't know who wants it. Any other comments, thoughts tonight?
Yeah, excuse me, Mayfield Week, so we're gonna go up the road here on Friday night, and hopefully, prayerfully, it's been 12 years. It's time to turn that tide a little bit, so. It's gonna be a crazy night, so you guys can get up. It'll be great.
Great. Anyone else? Do we have any public comment? Do you mind checking? Oh, we're good? Okay, with that, I make a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? I can't second my own.
Can I move and
You
second?
second? No.
Okay.
She moved, you
Abraham
second.
seconded it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.